try to be efficient. Okay. I've got not quite 5 o'clock yet, so just turned 5 o'clock. Great. So it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the April meeting of the Airport Commission to order. Mark, can you call the roll?
Sure. Michelle Bond,
Here.
Mayor Brar,
Yeah.
Alder Robert Burke,
Present.
Alder Luke Fassard,
Here.
Chair John Halleck,
Here.
David Lorman,
Here.
Kevin Munson.
I saw him on the.
I thought I saw him too. Oh, there he is.
Am I muted?
Nope, you're good.
Now we can hear you.
Thank you.
You're good.
And for staff, you also have Rich Maury and I'm here, obviously. I don't see anyone from the Bureau of Aeronautics, but they're not required to be here, obviously. So
Okay,
that's who you have for staff.
great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Proof of posting and notice.
I posted it on the front bulletin board. It's at City Hall, at the airport, on the city's website. And well, I didn't post it at the airport, but Rich did. And it's on the website and we sent it out in our listserv.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, first item, or the next item up is the approval of the minutes. I'll give everybody a few seconds to look at it, and then they can make a determination.
I'm going to start off by making a motion that we approve it with one correction.
Okay,
Okay, I will go ahead and second it.
Okay, thank you. For
Right.
the correction I would ask for is on the first page of the meeting minutes under Airport Manager's Report. The last bullet point says some aircraft wildlife has returned. And I believe that should be some airport wildlife has returned. And I can only say that when I hear aircraft wildlife, I think of that Twilight Zone where there was a gremlin on the wing of a plane. And I'm hoping that's not the type of aircraft wildlife that we have at the airport.
agreed.
Yes, that was the intent, was airport. Sorry about that.
Good.
Minor correction. Other than that, my motion is to approve these minutes with that one very minor change.
Okay,
I agree. I had noticed that too. And Rich, what kind of a wildlife has returned? Is it okay?
Well, just the prairie birds. We've got initially, the killdeer came back, red-winged blackbirds were actually prior to that. Killdeer, the meadowlarks are back. Of course, the horned larks stick around all year. And then I have not seen any of the bobolinks yet, but they usually come in later.
May I make a
That's-
suggestion?
That's
Oh, I'm sorry.
great. Hmm?
May I make a suggestion? And since the wildlife isn't confined to the airport, how about it just reads, some wildlife has returned to the airport?
Sounds good.
I'm fine with that.
Is that okay?
wording.
Okay.
And the sandhill cranes are back, so yeah.
okay, we have
Nice.
first, do we have a second?
I think
Mayor
we're-
Brar
Okay.
had already seconded.
All right, great. So we have a first from Robert, second from the mayor. Any discussion?
Rich does have several Skyhawks at the airport.
Yeah.
Okay. No discussion and Skyhawks. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. minutes
What
passed.
about sandpipers?
Ah,
Oh, my God. All right.
Moving on.
Hey, moving on, yes. The next item, I believe, is the chair report. I really don't have anything to add. There's really not much going on that I've been involved with. I'll let Rich, I'll hand over and defer to Rich to talk about the lighting, how that's going. Good, Rich. Airport managers report, you're
You
up.
got it. Okay. Again, February 25 to March 30, 2022, 20 noise or overflight complaints. No one is making complaints via the city website anymore. I've got 17 phone, 1 email, and 1 oh, I'm sorry, 2 were via the online reporting option. So I guess someone is still. 8 were from one individual, 4 from another, and contacted everyone by phone or email by myself. 29 last year at the same time. The Highwood Circle, the guys that live just inside or west of the belt line and just a little north and east of us, been, that's a dominant number. There were 12, I believe, out of that. And I have talked with everyone. When we have a strong wind out of the west, sometimes people turn a little too soon and get blown back. We're trying to educate all of our people to avoid that. I mean, for the most part, if you live in that place, you're right next to an airport, but we're still working at not going right over the top of them if possible. Let's see, no aircraft accidents or incidents on the field. We had 2 online aircraft safety seminars by Maury's staff. The March 26th Youth and Aviation Club meeting was postponed till this month, April 23, for reasons I do not know. Still waiting on the Knox boxes. We're ready to put them up now that the frost is out of the ground. We are celebrating again, bring up our 80th anniversary of operations in Middleton. I believe there will be a proclamation at the next city council meeting, which is wonderful. I'll be trying to attend. We've got a good slate of future events with the Youth and Aviation Club meeting coming up, the Wisconsin 99s and the EA staff or chapter and the Women in Aviation will be working together to put a compass rose on the ramp. There can be a new, I didn't put this in, but a Young Eagles special event is coming up in June as well. Pancake breakfast has returned in July. You've got the dates. Another safety seminar that's always well attended, the aircraft or meet your air traffic controllers, the people over at Madison that do the radio so well for us. Of course, you've got an event coming up that wasn't mentioned. That was Matt's special event or a private event coming through, then Rock the Ramp and Capital Speed, and more Young Eagle flights coming up, which we always support. Now, as to the, now we have solid dates, not to be determined on the May, and I guess we had them a while back, but they were waiting on wiring, which I believe they have located. From May 2 to May 20th, during the weekdays, Monday through Friday, we're going to be closed. And then they're going to reposition their equipment. Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be open, and then they'll be closing again on Monday. We're going to be putting the NOTAMs out. We're also, all of the hangar owners and have been notified, and there have been a few questions about it and people trying to get special dispensation to take off in the middle of the week, and we can't do that. So all of that has been handled. There's been no pushback. They understand we need to get the project done. So we should have, looking forward to it. I'm not sure if I'm going to take a vacation that week or just hang around and work like crazy on the weekends. But, and then after the 20th, there'll be another week or 2 weeks of work on the taxi lanes, which will be phased through, and we'll have to coordinate with our hangar clients as to having aircraft. They may have to locate onto our ramp if they need to go that, again, they're going to phase it and try to always keep some open and some access, but can't do it, can't always have it open. So we'll handle it. I think our clients are happy with it. So
Good.
So I have one question that's for maybe both John and Rich. You remember that at the last meeting, we had decided that 2 of you will get together and develop some survey to determine the interest in hangars. Did anything happen on that one or not yet? Maybe that's covered somewhere else.
No, it did not happen. We ran out of time, to be very frank about it. And there was no sense of urgency because we aren't building any for a while. So we decided we would defer that. and have it available for the next meeting.
Okay,
I don't think that inconveniences anybody.
no, it's okay. That's good. Thank you. I
No.
just wondered where that was. Okay, thank you, John, and thank you, Rich.
Okay,
I have a quick question if nobody else does.
okay, go ahead.
Rich, you mentioned the runway 10-8 will be closed. What about the crosswind, the north-south?
Oh,
Is that
I'm
closed?
sorry. Yeah, should have brought that up. Grass runway will be open at least for portions of that. But of course, when they're working on that section of the runway with the runway lights, it'll be closed. But for the bulk of the time, the grass runway will be open. And by May, it should have dried out sufficiently for a lot of aircraft to be able to use it, certainly not everything. But yeah, we should, we'll be operating through that. And the flight school can continue to operate. Matt can, Capital Flight can certainly work the Huskies off the grass. I don't believe the Cirruses are allowed to operate off the grass. But yeah, we'll keep it open to the extent possible.
Is there any other questions, Rich?
Kevin has his hand up.
Kevin, I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, hey. So a couple weeks ago, I was out, just a heads up to Rich and other folks out there. I was out in Nebraska photographing the Great Sandhill Migration. And there were 1.2 million birds that came through. So about twice as many cranes, mostly lesser sandhills, but also greater sandhills that came through than have ever been observed. So we're probably going to see a lot more birds this year, the big ones. And I just wanted to give you a heads up, but there's about twice as many. So they've really made a comeback, but they're all over the place. So I just wanted to give Rich a heads up that he's probably going to see more, and the pilots need to be aware of this.
Absolutely, Kevin. We've got, last year, we have, instead of having the one pair that were residents, now we've got two pair, and there have been a third pair that have stopped in occasionally. So there's definitely more around.
Okay. Any other questions of Rich? Okay, hearing none, let's move over to the airport financials. Mark, you want to put that up? We'll take a quick look, see at it.
So I'm gonna, do you want me to, I have the March one pulled up here. Do you see it?
Yeah, I do see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything that stands out to me too much, other than just the fuel flowage. Hopefully we'll hit our $6,000 mark. Didn't look like there was anything in January, maybe it's just off a bit. The grounds maintenance, the $4,800, if I'm not mistaken, that's for the equipment that we use to grind the rest of the trees down. So they eat, the caterpillar eats a lot faster than the goats. And so we got it done in less than a week. And I think we're pretty clear sailing. There may be a little bit more that has to be done by hand. But I'm thinking all in all, we've made really good progress, or I should say we've made good progress. The airport staff has made a good progress. And hopefully we'll get a burn this spring. And we'll do, once we get a couple of burns under our belt, that should hold it down, and also the invasive species. So that's what's going on there. That's the only number that sticks out. And I want to just explain what that was. Any questions on any of the airport financials?
And John, I think it was probably just coded in the wrong month, but we certainly, we're up to date on all of our flowage stuff. So I
Okay.
can get you, if you'd like, I'll give you a summary of everything.
No, I mean, the city kind of books things as they can, and then they figure it all out at the end of the year. They make sure that everything within the period gets in the period. So I don't think we need to really sweat it. It'll show up at the end of the year.
Very good.
Okay, thanks for the offer though, Rich. Okay, if there's no questions, let's move on. What's the next item on the agenda?
Yep,
Kathy?
sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. So there's a farmland lease renewal request. So I had a question. So Minehold leases from the airport. Is that the structure?
Say
That's
it again.
correct.
I'm sorry.
Yes, this Mr. Minehold leases the land from the city. He's the leasee as opposed, and we're the leaseor. Okay.
Right.
All right, I just want to make sure I got all the directions right here.
And he is present on the call incidentally,
Okay,
under Father John Meinholz. So if you wish
Okay.
to, if you have questions for him.
sure. I don't, I'll let the commissioners, do you have any questions, thoughts?
I'll just state that he's a great tenant and never had a problem with them. They took care of the issue with the, I think it was drainage tile or that had been clogged by trees, took some trees down that needed to be taken down. Yeah, I'd recommend renewing it. And I'd give him 5 years, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I just have a question that, what is the productivity of that land? Is it just as good any other or a little bit less? I know it's a little bit wettish, so. John, Meinholz?
Probably have to unmute him.
Yeah, I'll see if I can unmute him if you're asking. Here, John. He may not use Zoom much, so I don't remember the instruction. There he is. You're unmuted,
Okay.
Father Meinholz.
Okay. What was the question?
Yeah, the question is the productivity of the land. Is it just like on the other side of the Capitol view or Capitol Street? There's that area. So this area would be just as productive as on the other side or less or more?
I don't understand the question. Can, the voice is unclear. I'm getting.
Yeah, John, this is Mark Opitz. The mayor is asking about the productivity of the land that you lease. How productive is it?
Okay, I would suggest it's medium productive in terms of its rating, and it has always a drainage problem.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
And the city staff recommendation between Mike Davis and me is to extend the lease for a 3-year term, which is what the previous term was, at a rate of $250 per acre.
Does anyone care to make a motion or ask any additional questions?
Sure, this is Robert. I would make the motion to renew this lease for a 3-year term.
I'd second that. So we will renew the lease per the suggestion of the city administration, which would
So-
incorporate the increase.
Yeah, so this, I would recommend this is a recommendation to the Finance Committee and Common Council that that
Okay.
the city enter a new farmland lease with John Meinholz for 3 years at a rent set at $250 an acre. That's what I would suggest as your motion.
And that would be my motion to
Okay.
refer this back to Finance and Common Council.
And I'll second that. Is there any additional discussion on this? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor of the renewing the lease or making the recommendation to the Finance and Common Council, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, carries.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
The next item is Capital Flight as an event. Now, typically, I think we established at the last approval that it would go to Rich and then it would go to us. And, you know, Rich is the one that operates the airport and make a determination its impact on operations and safety. But I think we could always, if we like what's here, we can approve it subject to Rich's approval. So we could just do it kind of a little bit backwards, but I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry, John, I've spoken with Matt about this and I have no problem with it. I think they've handled events like this in the past and done a good job with it. So,
Okay. I don't have any problem with it. I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I'll approve it and Robert seconded it. Is there any discussions?
Yeah, Rich, are there any covenant issues having a large gathering in the hangars?
Covenant?
not to my knowledge, Capital Flight's hangar is a commercial hangar or has been used as such. So de facto, it's commercial. They've done a lot of events along these lines previously. I don't This is my understanding is it's a charitable event,
Mhm.
but I don't know the details. So, yeah, I don't see that there's, and I believe that they've got their applications in. I
Okay.
think all the ducks are in a row there.
Yeah,
you
I would
said
say
it's
there's a precedent for sure.
You said it's a charitable event. That's even better. So, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor of the event request being passed, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed, same side. Okay, the event request is approved. Next thing is the airport master plan review for consistency with the resolution 2022-08. Mark, do you want to give us the
Sure.
setup here?
Sure. So you'll recall that back in February, the council adopted a resolution to provide guidance for
Mhm.
the direction that the airport layout plan should proceed. And after that council meeting, you had a meeting where you asked to see the ALP when it comes to the plan sheet, when it's prepared by Mead and Hunt.
Yes,
I've worked with Mead and Hunt over the past few weeks, and they devoted their resources with their project team. They were able to reconvene their team and assemble it and prepare this sheet that's in your packet.
yes.
And so we also have, so in your packet are the resolution for the council, the ALP plan sheet.
Yes.
And then you also received this morning, I forwarded to you, or actually you got it yesterday from Jeff Russell, an email with concerns about the turf operations, and that prompted me to ask Mead and Hunt to comment on those issues.
Right.
And I sent that to you earlier today as well. And so my recommendation remains that, well, my conclusion anyway, and as I noted in the staff comments, is that the ALP plan sheet is consistent with the resolution that the council adopted.
Yeah.
So, and then separate from that, I put in the packet the implementation plan that can be a second component of this discussion.
Sure. So the request was basically initiated because there were multiple options for the hangar area and roads. And we just wanted to see where it was going to go since it was an A or B option. From my perspective, it depicts what was approved by the master plan. With respect to Mr. Russell, you know, there is the email comes from Mead and Hunt. It says that airport design standards do not account for these kinds of operation. That is not to say that one that cannot be put in. When the city makes a determination to pave the north-south runway at that time, then they could determine what the then current laws are and regulations and decide, as the city did in its resolution, if it should be an east-west runway north of the solar farm, or one can go alongside. But really, you can't, it should not hold this up. The resolution is there. It's with the council. So, I mean, I think this is substantially what is on the master plan. That's my analysis, but I'd like to hear from others at the same time.
Mark, is anybody from Mead and Hunt here or not?
I don't believe so. I don't see anybody. I did ask the project manager if he would be available, but he had a previously scheduled meeting. So, and I don't see anybody else that with whom I'm familiar at Mead and Hunt. So, but I can try and answer any questions. I've obviously been working on this project.
Yeah. Well, my first question is that what are the tasks remaining, and when could we expect this master plan completed and wrapped up and put away? So
go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So may I answer that, John?
Yes, you may.
Yeah. So this map is just one of the tasks that was, you know, for them still. The ALP, this sheet is one component of the ALP, the airport layout plan. There's also noise contours, land use analysis, things like that are technical that that dovetail with this drawing. And those are still in progress. So they are still working on those, but they're, from what I understand, nearing completion. I haven't seen any of their work on that. I've just seen this so far. So
Yeah.
go ahead. But it's all tied to this. They did tell me that their finding is that with the noise contours, the 65 decibels, that it remains on airport property. They did mention that that is their preliminary finding, which is not too surprising, but I don't have any more details.
Okay, well, do let them know they did do an excellent job, especially when you look at chapter 6. Maybe that will be next item, but you know, they put out those financials from 2021 to 2041. And so everybody's concern is that we have been working on this for a long time, and to put an end to it. So then, you know, if we need to do something, move on with this one. So when you look at the financials, it is interesting that by 2026, when you look up our revenues and expenses, so we will be in a deficit. So just in 2026, if we don't have the hangars. So I'm wondering that if if there are other ways of raise the revenue, but Mark, you remember that as when we started talking about this in 2017 or 2016, our biggest thing was the hangars. And that probably still is the same because, you know, without hangars, we don't even have a operating revenue. I mean, when you look at the total financial figures, it's not, it's less than $200,000. So, and so if we don't have the hangars by 2026, we will be running a deficit. So my question would be that, are there some other sources of income, which I know we got some reserve there, but so if we don't have the hangars, what is going to happen?
Well, I think that if you look at the language, I think this is just a straw plan, as one potential sequence and outcome. You know, it will be up to the Common Council or a future version of it, or a future version of the Airport Commission to decide what really happens and in what order it happens. This is just one of many scenarios. So I think it will be determined at a later date, but this document, this drawing is consistent with the master plan document. And I think that's where we need to go and take a look at and approve that. I mean, that's my take.
Okay. Yeah, I like their paired histograms. You know, they really did a good job because you can just look at it and quickly see what's going on there. So, John, you probably would know that 150 or 180,000, which we are supposed to get from BOA. So that can be only used for the capital projects. It can't be used for the operation of the airport.
I'm not sure how we would totally finance it. Normally, this would be, I'm thinking it would be 2.5% would be our match for this kind of a project. And you might be able to get some additional funding. I mean, I haven't worked the numbers. I mean, we need to approve the plan and the drawing.
Right.
And then after we have that, then we can figure out where's the head and where's the tail and how do we pay for it? You know, and I'll go to work on it, you know, based on the sequence that everybody believes is the right sequence.
So,
Okay.
yeah, this is Robert. I agree with, you know, what you guys have been saying. I think this is a really good work by our consultant, Mead and Hunt. I think this airport layout plan is consistent with resolution 2022-08, which was approved by the Common Council. And so I would make a motion that we, as the Airport Commission, approve this airport layout plan as being consistent with resolution 2022-08.
And I'd second that. So we have a first, Robert, and a second from me. More discussion?
So just for the minutes, I'm saying that the motion is to determine that the ALP, can I say map sheet? Because that's what you're referring to, the ALP map sheet. Is that all right?
The
Sure.
ALP diagram.
Okay, is consistent with the City of Middleton Resolution 2022-08.
and also the document. And it's also consistent with the master planning document.
Yeah, I'm fine with that language. Mark?
The master planning document.
Yeah.
And
They all
I,
fit together.
yeah, I agree with John Halleck's word of, would he say something like diagram
Yes, it's
Yeah.
an airport.
as
ALP
opposed to map
diagram.
sheet?
Determine that the ALP diagram is consistent with the City of Middleton Resolution 2022-08, direction for completing master plan. I'll put that in there. And the master planning document, as well as the master planning document.
Yeah, because they're a set. This is
Yeah.
the visual representation of the words.
Okay. Will do.
Agreed.
So we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor of approving the motion as stated by Robert, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Yeah, so as you know, I did not sign this resolution and I'm going to oppose it. So,
So you're abstaining, Mayor?
no,
or-
I'm actually opposing it. I did not, yeah, so it's just,
Okay,
So you believe it's not consistent with the resolution?
well, but I did not sign the resolution, as you know, so.
Okay.
well, that's fine. Okay. So, okay, a motion carries. All right, well, next item on the agenda, Mark.
Is
Sure.
there a second
I'm
portion
sorry.
of this?
We all,
Well, did you,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah, did you have any feedback on the implementation plan aside from the discussion you've already had? Was there anything that you wanted me to provide as feedback to the project team?
I mean, it's only a scenario. It's one potential
Understood.
scenario.
Yeah,
I do, yeah, okay, that's fine. If you
I
had no,
mean, as-
I
as
thought it
we-
was,
Go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's one potential scenario. And as the then sitting airport commission and common council determine what should go first, second, or third, then at that time will be an adjustment.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, I think it's helpful. I thought the document was well done and I'm happy that it clearly states that, you know, these are like possible, let's see, what was the language?
Yes,
Uh,
okay,
Is that like, right, yeah, right there, I think it's section 6.2, yeah, conceptual projects. And it made it explicitly clear that, you know, that these projects are not yet approved projects. And any
Yes.
project would need to be approved by the City of Middleton Common Council before any work could be done on any of these projects. And so, yeah, I mean, none of these may, you know, they may be approved, this may be approved in different groupings in parts, or it could be disapproved entirely to move forward with any project. But I think, you know, that's what this is. It's a planning document and gives people in the future guidance to help them make their decision. But no decisions have been made, and honestly, I don't expect any projects to be kicked off in the near future, just due to costing and stuff like that anyway.
yeah, it's a planning document, not a construction document.
Exactly. So I'm happy with the way it's worded, but I open it up to others if other people have a different viewpoint.
I think it's fine. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would like to say they did a really great job with chapter 6. It really makes all the financials very clear. And it also tells us, you know, if we don't do something, we are really not in such a great shape. So I do have a question that that there will be, you know, indexes and everything which you do, it has always assumptions. So when they, Mark or John, when they have complete this, we will be able to look at the assumptions. For example, they have the cost of the land is cost out a little over $4 million. So, you know, what are the assumptions which they are making here? So I would like to look at those some stage. So I'm okay with this. So Mark, there are only two more chapters left, the noise and the land use, and then it has to go to the FAA or some other
Yeah,
place.
the noise and the land use are, I believe those become sheets of the airport layout plan. They're not necessarily their own chapters. I'd have to
Okay.
double check with MDOT, but my understanding, I mean, after an implementation chapter, that's pretty much typically the end chapter. Maybe John or especially Kevin, since Kevin has worked on master plans, those are usually technical appendices tied to the airport layout plan.
So
That's
we are
what I
more
got.
or less done then, right? With the master plan then?
Yeah,
I think you are, and the question I would have on some of the contours and some of the other would be, if you're not going to build this for 10 years, those specific documents might change in 10 years. So they may wait and do some of that until there's a petition. I'm not sure what their timing is, but yeah, I don't know their processes, but
Kevin has his hand up, Mr. Chair.
okay, well, Kevin, you're the ALP guy.
Yeah, so I agree with Mark and how the noise and whatnot are going to be depicted. I just want to say, I think Mead and Hunt and everybody did a great job on this. It was, much more discussion and much more detail than I was accustomed to working on other master plans, especially for an airport like this, because again, just a reminder, the reason what the FAA asked us to do so we can continue getting funding is they want at some level that you forecast, and they provide causal forecast models. Then we take those forecast models and we say, well, this may be what it looks like. And then we provide options on how we might or might not. We're not committed to this plan, just because it's in here doesn't mean we have to do these things. And usually it doesn't happen the way it's depicted in the master plan. But that doesn't keep us from changing based on, and we've seen this, the environment, because of COVID and the aviation environment, transportation has changed a lot. It may change again.
Yes.
And we have to go back and look at this again. So just remind people that this is just a point in time, and this is how here's some options. We may not do anything. We may do one or some of these. But anyway, with all that said, I think that Mead and Hunt, AMPAC, everyone did a great job on this. So much detail and so much work. And I just want to thank everyone. I learned a lot. Thank
Great.
you.
And I agree with Kevin. So now there's one small detail that we had some meetings with the city attorney about the land, which will be the north of the airport, where we are thinking of this around 1020. So now the town of Springfield has if we do anything in that area, they have Mark, you probably would know that they have veto power. So I just, and that agreement with them is valid up to 2029.
Okay.
So my question will be more that the money to buy the land, if we do buy it, if we go that direction, does anybody know where that, well, I mean, John, you probably have gone through this, and Kevin, you too. And so I mean, I don't think the BOA or FAA pays for I guess there's a certain ratio. I don't know what that is. So I was just trying to see how much is the commitment of the city in terms of money involved here.
I think it's going to be based on the time that you make the request. Obviously,
Right.
things financially change over time, and you have to evaluate it at that point. I mean, the purpose, as Kevin said, of the master plan is to provide a document to the FAA of what could be someday as a planning document. And it's going to be up to the Common Council if anything ever gets done here. And then we still got to figure out how to pay for it and petition. There's a lot of work. This is just the planning documents. There's no more than that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've passed this, so let's go on to the next item, if we could, Mark. Okay, thank you so much. So the last part here for today is the update on the fuel. I have to say, I'm totally confused. You all read the piece where GAMI says they have passed every test and every procedure, and one division of the FAA says, yep, you passed every test and every procedure, but the FAA in the Eiffel Tower says, well, wait a minute. I think that there's going to be a lot happen between now and EAA. EAA is kind of like the World Congress of piston engines, if you will. And I think he's well positioned to maybe get the approval. I mean, it could happen. So my thinking is, and I'd love to hear everybody else's thinking, we ought to probably just sit on this thing until EAA and see where they land and get the biggest update. I said this originally, I'd hate to spend $300,000 to find out it gets approved. And then I've ill spent the city's money, because the city doesn't have a lot of extra money, and neither is the airport commission. So we have to get value out of every dollar. So that's my thinking. Others, what do you think?
So a couple of things, John, is that BOA still going forward with that designing? And I haven't heard about that, if that's still in progress. So
Sure.
number two is that, this GAMI, there was a lot of excitement about a year ago or maybe longer. So I think the local FAA is with them, but the national is not. So I think the final authority is still with the national. So they will probably have to find somebody to get it done from the national. I guess once it's approved by the national, then it will be readily available all over the US. That's how I see it. But I think the latest news that now they have modified, or the latest formulation is good for all the piston engine planes. That's pretty good. So
yeah, and we have not started with the BOA on this process, because they were waiting for all the petitions. So the wheels are really not in full motion. I mean, we're posturing to get it done. So we haven't spent any money yet. So we can just say, hey, let's wait a couple of months and put it into a holding pattern, and then decide what to do then. I mean, is that what others think, or?
Kevin has his hand up and has had his hand
Kevin,
up.
go ahead.
Well, hello. Yeah, so we've been in contact with George Braley, the head scientist and all that developed this fuel, and he has been working very closely with the FAA and the engine manufacturers to complete their DOEs, their design of experiments and protocols, and has done everything to the T, and gone well above and beyond testing this fuel much further than any other fuel has been tested. And he completed those protocols. Everything looks great. I'm just going to say, I'll be extremely disappointed in the FAA and the EPA if they don't step up to the plate immediately and expedite the approval of this fuel, and the Department of Commerce, as far as commercializing it. I really expect that. At a minimum, I expect that. They've completed everything. The fuel is good to go. It's better than any other fuel out there as far as engine life and all these key parameters. And that's just, my 2 cents.
So Kevin, what time frame you're thinking about? I know we have thrown all sort of a 2030 and all of those things. So you think it will be ready in about a year or two, or longer?
Yeah, I think so. There's the first step is getting the FAA to approve the fuel for use in most of these airplanes. The second is they still need to commercialize the process. They need to work with these Mobil or BP or Shell or whoever, I don't know, and get these fuels made at a commercial scale to provide fuel for the entire country. And so that those are the 2 steps. So yeah, maybe a year. That's what they've been saying. Maybe even less. It depends on, shoot, man. Thinking World War II. They just came up with the concept, designed, built, and test flew the greatest fighter ever made in 91 days. It's the P-51 North American P-51 Mustang. if they can do that in 91 days, we can take a fuel that's ready to go and do it. It's all a matter of priority. And so, I mean, again, that's my personal opinion, and I think it's the opinion of the people that are working on this fuel. And like I said, I'll be disappointed if the EPA and the FAA don't make it their mission to prioritize getting this fuel approved, and then the Department of Commerce stepping in so that we can commercialize it.
I mean,
Well-
he's already set a precedent outside of PAFFing because he has an AML for all aircraft that run motor gas and unleaded or and 94 UL. So they've already got a blanket for all of those aircraft. So to say he can't have an AML, I think is that they've already done that before. So whatever the process was that got them that far, I think it sets a precedent to get them to the next level. And so you can't say, well, we don't give AMLs out for that because you've already done it, right? And so there's a lot the FAA is going to have to figure out. And I know it's a little bit dysfunctional, but you know, that's government. They'll figure it out.
Well, this is very important for our airport, John, as you know, so it's just earlier the better. So I think, but you know, there isn't really a whole lot we can do about it here. So thank you.
So let me just poll the people rather than try to make a motion and everything. So just kind of going, Robert, do you think we should maybe just slow down a little bit or push full ahead?
Well, so I'm naturally an optimist, but I think I agree from a technical standpoint. I agree wholeheartedly with Kevin Munson that this thing, they could pull the trigger on this days, months, whatever. However, I've been involved with politics, and at a local level, obviously, and I've been watching politics probably since I was like 18 years old. And I have to say, I'm a little bit more pessimistic that this is going to happen quickly. I think there's all sorts of inertia that will slow things down, and there's infighting amongst groups, and there's infighting between political parties that one political party will spite itself will harm its own interests if it can spite the other side. And so I honestly think that personally, I think the city of Middleton should continue to move forward with funding an unleaded fuel tank, because as much as I want the whole country to switch over to GAMI 100 lead-free fuel as soon as possible, I think there may be a delay on that. And so I think it's still worthwhile for the city of Middleton to kind of pursue its own agenda here to try to get lead-free fuel in sooner. So I honestly would recommend that we continue to pursue the addition of a lead-free fuel tank.
Well, I think we can get the engineering and estimates. That's going to take months anyhow.
Right.
And so that's a minimal spend. So that might be a thought. Luke?
So yeah, that's my thinking too, is maybe don't put the brakes on this, don't slow down. But if things change magically, and if we only have to spend a little bit of money on design work as opposed to paying for the whole new fuel tank,
Yeah.
great. I'd love that. But I feel like we should continue going down the path we're going down, because I think it's important to the city of Middleton and to our neighbors to get lead-free fuel in here, as soon as possible. So thanks.
Luke, what do you think? Luke, you have a point of view? Mayor, what's your point of view?
Well, I agree with Robert. So we should move forward. The designing, it takes some time, but so once we have the design, and we know, we will know at least 5-6 months ahead that it's coming. So this is not just a Middleton problem. This is the problem all over the U.S. And so I think there's a lot of pressure to come up with a unleaded gasoline for the airports, for the airplane. So it's going to happen. So
Okay.
I think I'm optimistic. I'm with Robert. So let's keep moving forward.
Okay. David, I haven't heard from you tonight. What do you think?
John, I'm more inclined in the direction of your discussion. And let me make it crystal clear, because the misinformation is just being used against every initiative we try to make, and no one is disputing the fact that lead is safe for humans and human exposure, and we all understand that. If we take time and take opportunity to see where this goes, especially with EAA and the force that's behind it, it's not going to change anything. So we can keep the momentum, we can keep the investigation, we can look into the design and engineering components of it. But to just throw large amounts of taxpayer dollars out there at something that may happen anyhow, what is a pause going to hurt in the process?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get a better fix, I think, by EAA.
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of scrambling over the next couple of months, but we're not really going to lose any time. I mean, there are things that we need to do that are minimal investment that we can do. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unleaded fuel is going to become part of the piston aviation landscape,
Yes.
period. I mean, the FAA has made it clear, the EPA is behind it. And I'd say one of the key things I've read between the lines of everything that's been said out there, and again, as Kevin said, this is my opinion, and that's all it is the fact that the people who have to blend and make this stuff is big oil. And why would they commit to something, now, when they can wait a little while and make sure they have, let's call it the triple check of the FAA and others out there in the industry, and then they'll just commit to the production, and then that's that. I mean, they'll flip a switch and they'll just make it. And obviously the petroleum industry does this all the time, because there are parts of the country where there are additives put into fuel that are switched over with changes in seasons. And we're blending all kinds of things in automotive and other types of fuel, and it's done to simply adapt to the environment. So I'm just looking at it from that perspective. I think we keep moving forward, but let's see what happens this summer.
Yeah, I think if GAMI 100 UL gets anointed, manufacturing will zoom in. I don't think it'll take them that long to figure it out. They're just not going to commit, and they're not going to make any investment until there's somebody that's anointed as the solution. And there's nothing that says that there can't be research and development continue. I mean, we can have a solution and people can maybe try to find something better down the road. I mean, that's the way ingenuity works. So, but I say if we've got something works, then we ought to use it.
May I ask a quick question?
Yes.
It's as a layperson, it's a little unclear to me, but there's been several references to before EAA. Could you explain why? I mean, I know EAA is the biggest event in aviation each year, but is that why you're saying that that's a sort of an artificial or a deadline that is being used as a timeline?
I think a lot of the announcements that are really important all happen in EAA.
And that's,
All the players are there.
okay, and that's
Um,
kind of what I thought, but I don't think you had said that, and I just wanted clarification on that, so.
Yeah, I don't know, what is there, 250,000 pilots, 300,000 pilots? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's, some massive amounts. And the FAA is there and the BOA is there and, all of the different states, Board of Aviation's there. And I just think that there's going to be an announcement. That's a really interesting place to make it.
Well, and it's, linked to the politics that Robert said, obviously we're just at the local level, but it's an example, it's a place to showcase a priority before elections too, is basically what you're saying.
That's
Is-
good.
is-
I
But I
never
mean,
thought of
that's
that way.
that's the sort of stuff that gets factored into these things is what I think I heard you say. And EAA is the venue for it because of the audience. So I get it now. Thank you.
Yeah. Kevin Munson, what is your comments and thoughts?
I'm unmuting here and let's see here. There we go. So yeah, sort of, I think that we should continue to move forward with some of the engineering, some of the things that aren't so expensive. I agree with, believe it or not, with David and Robert. I think that it's hard for us to predict what's going to happen. I mean, like I said, I would just be disappointed if the EPA and the FAA don't step up and expedite this. And I think a lot of other people would be too. That's not saying a lot, but I think that we should, at some level, continue moving forward with putting these tanks in. It's not going to hurt to have a larger fuel farm. And even, it's not like, those tanks can be easily switched over. So from one type of fuel to the next, and I've done it before. We're going from 80, the red stuff, to 100 low lead and back and forth. And so I think at some level we should keep going forward. It's what the town of Middleton is about. It's a commitment that we've made. When we get to the point, I think that we'll hear more from the EAA and we can make more decisions as we hear more at our next meetings. They're getting together this summer to discuss this. Is that right? Is it Sun and Fun or is it somewhere else?
Well, Sun and Funds right now, that's where Brayley had his announcements and he postured himself. Basically, he challenged the FAA.
Sure,
He said,
right.
All of this fuel have been already approved by FAA at lower levels for all of these engines. Everything that contains a spark plug. Now you have to issue the AML based on that. And so it's now sits with the ivory tower of the FAA to make a decision. And I don't see, based on previous AMLs, how they can stop it. But, it doesn't take much for me to continue to pursue this with the BOA. I mean, we have to pick an engineer. We have to estimate some of the projects. I mean, it's a governmental process. It takes its steps. So we're going to be 2 months from now, we'll probably be in good shape. And like I said, it's minimal dollars. So I would continue on. Michelle, we haven't heard from you about what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like you're saying, I think it sounds like there wouldn't be any harm in pursuing getting some estimates and things like that.
Mhm.
And, not spend the big dollars if not necessary, but kind of get some more behind the scenes information. And I
Mhm.
think the BOA would, see that our small airport is looking into this. So it is a priority for people. So maybe that would be a good sign to them.
Okay, good. So based on everybody's sentiment, I think I will continue to work with the BOA to go through the steps, and I'll report where we're at next month. And then we could decide our next step. We'll take it one step at a time. And we'll keep our ear to the ground. I know, David, you're doing that. Mark, Kevin, everybody's listening to what's happening. So I think that's what we'll do. Okay.
I think that's a great way to go, John. I also wonder, as an investor, it too, that GAMI, they make those, news releases, is it sometimes they're running out of money and they want to get some some investors come there to fund them, or that's one. And the other is that I would imagine it's just not only Gammy, there will be some other competing products as well moving further along, because this is such a huge market.
Mhm. Well, the path that Swift and that GAMI pursued is the STC market. And the STC market means that after the FAA approves the fuel, you still will have to buy an STC from GAMI to use the fuel. And I don't know what that could be. That could be in hundreds of dollars, or it could be $1,000. I have no idea. I don't know what the MoGas, Rich might know, there's what a MoGas SDC goes for. Then you multiply it by, the number of aircrafts out there, and the number gets really big, right? That's why they're investing all of their money to do this, and why they want to go this route rather than the Pappy mount, because they're entrepreneurs. They want to make money,
Mhm,
right? And that's
Sure.
how we get ingenuity.
mhm.
So anyway, so we'll move on. Mark, I don't know what you're doing. You're reading emails, or let's continue on. So that's end of all of our topics. For future events, I think we'll just continue on with the fuel project, and look at the financials, and I'll keep track of everything. Nothing substantially happened with any of the BOA funds. And so it'll be probably a skinny agenda. But if anybody has anything they want to bring to the surface between now and then, send Mark and myself an email, and we will do our best to put it on the agenda if it fits.
And John, you will continue to pursue that hangar thing. So
Yes, and I will do that. So what we'll do is we'll come up with a set of questions. And then I think what I'll do is I'll bring the questions back to the airport commission and have them look at what we want to put on the survey. And then maybe they will add, modify, do something of that nature. But we will get that done by the next meeting.
excellent, because when you look at the financials, if we don't have it by 2026, it's not
Yeah.
going to look very good. So
Okay,
Okay.
I will do that, Mayor, not a problem. With that, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
This is Robert Burke, and as part of my motion, I'm making a motion to adjourn, but I also want to thank everybody at the Airport Commission for allowing me to work with all of you these past few years. I actually just, I'm no longer an alder person as of the end of this month. And so I'm pretty sure that means this is going to be my last Airport Commission meeting. So I just wanted to say it's been great working with all of you for the past 3 to 4 years here. So thank you.
Thanks,
Well,
Rob.
I will
It's been a
second
pleasure,
it.
Robert.
And I will also say the Robert, with his background in engineering, he did a phenomenal job. He's a great friend and he made a difference. So you can see all his input is very well thought through and right on target. Robert, amazing job.
Okay, I'll second the motion to adjourn. So we have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Robert, we'll stay in touch. I'm sure we'll
Definitely.
share,
I hope
we'll share a
so.
cold beer.
That sounds
And we will seek your counsel as we need it,
As a private citizen going forward.
as a private citizen going forward. All right. I'd like to thank everybody. We had a great meeting.
Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Thank you all.